coolest station in the world. And I'm your host, Biba Sheikh. Welcome. Uh, this is the show Mediterranean Fire. As the fire of the sun makes life possible, Mediterranean Fire creates connections between artists, cultural people, and entities that makes life rich and meaningful. Today, our guest is Lisa Genza, and she was the head of logistics at quite a large corporation in Detroit that she, you know, was started at a very young age, and her one of her main uh, assets and purposes and techniques is root cause analysis. And then one day she kind of turned her back on all of that and decided to uh, channel all of her talents and energy into serving humanity. And we're very lucky to have her here today and to converse with her. And we thank you for being here. And please call in with any questions or any comments. We would love to converse with you as well. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. So, Lisa, let me tell the public a little bit about what I know about you, and then you can put things in their place, right? Uh, I when I think of Lisa, I think of this like plane of existence, and she has these. She There are different elements that are coming up out of the ground from different places, and one of them is. Um, Related to spirituality. She is always developing in different lines of work, which maybe she'll tell you about. And the other, she never really wanted to teach nutrition, but from what I understand, she just, for some reason, found a repetitive pattern in all the people that she set out to help, and she couldn't get to where she needed to go without addressing the issue of nutrition. And from there, a whole other plane popped out where now she is the leader of many young people in different institutions who are starting to be rectify their notion of what food is, what food is called, what is food and what is not food. And they seem to be dropping everything else that they're doing and just coming to where she is because they're just so surprised and they know the importance of it. So, um, other than that, she is the founder of Freedom Kitchen, which not only will be uniting health coaches and nutritional people who have created new brands of healthy food um, that will all be united together because right now they're all segregated. And she's the only person that is trying to bring everyone together to generate a force because a force is needed in order to survive, for them to survive within the aggressive market of those 10 or so food brands that are dominating the planet right now. And of course, we call them food brands, but as you know, it's not really food per se. So, like when you're walking in the supermarket and you walk down the aisles, you know subconsciously that none of this is food. And you're like looking for like some food, but there isn't any. And there's like aisle after aisle. So she's really trying to address this with her root cause analysis and logistical mind to to insulate and lift up the others. Hello, Lisa. I think I've been
I
talking. time. You can.
I always love hearing how you describe me because you're more right brain and more creative.
Mhm,
And I love listening to you speak because it's so flowery, poetic. You speak so poetic,
mhm,
um, which is truly attributed to your background and your training, right? And I'm very left brain. I'm the opposite of that. So yes, being here in Detroit, I think most of us end up working for the big three at some point.
mhm,
I interned at 17 years old in high school at General Motors, hired into EDS upon graduation. And then that became HP, and I ended up resigning after 25 years. So it was 25 years combined with GM, EDS, and Hewlett Packard.
mhm,
Um, and it was really to pursue a life of service. And I wasn't really sure what that looked like, but um, you really nailed it when you said my mind works like a system, and I'm always looking for root cause analysis.
mhm,
And so, in all of my years of operations support and then consulting, I have brought that to the small business world
mhm.
and can see where small businesses lack resources and systems and tools in order to leverage and grow. And so that's moved me into a business coaching role for small businesses where I bring that systems view. But my passion is truly health and spirituality, and what that keeps coming back to is food. And I'm Italian. Food's important to us. We feed people. There's a lot of symbolism around the kitchen table, right? Around gathering in the kitchen, nourishing ourselves. And so that's how Freedom Kitchen was born. And I'm really looking at the ecosystem, the system of the food system with all of those small businesses that pertain to the food system. And as much as I really didn't think that I'd ever be teaching cooking classes, um, all my classes end up in the kitchen, and I have a following of young people, which is really heartwarming to teach cooking classes to families and to kids. So it's definitely a blessing.
Mhm.
So, Biba, what led you and I to connect is your connection to the arts, because I believe that the arts are very healing. So, and this is coming from a left brain logistical person. I see that our school system has really led us down a path of being very left brain logical, omitting the creativity and expansiveness of the right brain, which is really the arts. You studied abroad.
Mhm.
You left you left the United States in 18, at age 18, right, to go to Europe.
Yes.
Where did you study in Europe?
Um, well, I started in Paris at the school of Marcel Marceau, who is a mime artist. At the time, um, mime was not as in danger of extinction as it is now, just due to everything you just described, actually. And there it was a drama school, and it was a great beginning to learn, actually you could say, how to be disciplined with through acrobatics, ballet, jazz, gymnastics, mime classes, theater classes. And while I was there, I also, coming from Detroit and having been 18, I was very, 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 very concerned, in the American style and culture. There's a certain, you know, feeling, a certain way of being an artist. It's you know you have to go to auditions, you have to open doors, you have to make it in the business sense of the term. While as in Europe, it's not exactly the same. It's a little bit different. But I had this preoccupation with, oh my God, I can't just, I can't let let 3 years go without going to an audition. I have to go to auditions. I have to do this. I have to do that. But with time, and I had to find the underground. For me, I was looking. I would walk down the streets because here in Detroit, there was a little movement going on when I had left, and it was kind of like an underground movement that was happening. Certain places were opening up, and it was a very potent thing, as all the music movements and other movements that came out of Detroit were. And I had learned from other people at Wayne State University about music movements and the underground, because they would put music on for me and teach me, who this band is and who that band is, and about the underground in Detroit. So I knew that everything began in the underground, and then after time, then it would go to the masses. But really, the creative part of it, the impetus of any cultural movement, was starting in the underground. So I would walk down the streets of Paris on the weekends, and two things would be happening. I would be like, I have to see Paris. I have to see Paris. But wait, I have to see Paris. Like, because I was at school all the time. And the other thing is, I have to find the underground. I have to find the underground. Where's the underground? God, I gotta find the underground. And then with a little bit of time in that first phase of me being there, I I um I said, wait a minute, this is Paris. I am seeing Paris. This is Paris. It's not that Vogue magazine, Paris that I would, read in my bedroom. This is it. This is, this more popular thing that's going on is Paris. I'm not gonna, find, the other Paris and the magazine pages. And then the underground, one day, I actually did meet people that were from the underground, though I didn't know that they were. But yes, and I met. So I met, apart from being in school, I did in that time period meet people who were related to the Beat Generation, and they were also very conscious about being connected to history in art. So there was the Beat Generation, there was the Surrealist movement, there was going back to Dada in the 1920s, but they were all interrelated in time, and they were all friends of each other, and overlapping in generations and knowing each other. And so I met I met these people um, related to the Beat Generation and some of the last surrealists who were in Paris, as well as meeting um, a couple of other people who had a very high energy. One of them was a revolutionary person whom I can't say who it is, and the other two were also. They were my age, but then they became two of the top theater directors in the world, and we would be kind of on the streets together, walking for hours at night after school. And so it was a very high energy, and it was like pop culture could connect with it from America. And as that was happening, I was also in America. I had been in my generation, not like now. In my generation, you suppressed the ethnic background you came from, because the logic was, you're not there anymore, you're living here. Um, I don't know what the logic was, but you don't learn the other language from where your family came from. You just cut it off completely. And I didn't see any need to be connected to it. I just wanted to. I was born here, and I wanted to be the pop culture. I didn't want to like have a mix of the other thing that was completely foreign to me in a way. It was more melancholic because I was experiencing it through my American glasses. So, but in Paris, of course, there was a lot more of those kind of people, and little by little, it was something awakening within me, a part of my identity that was awakening there. And After this first phase of this great happiness, which I call it laughter and happiness and cultural movement and liberation of the self, you know, I went then. Suddenly, I had a cathartic experience. I left the school I was in because I left it after 2 years. It was a 3-year school because why? Because let me see. I can't find words for it right now. But I wasn't. I knew it was that concern again. If I stay here, I'm not going to make it. I was very disappointed, in a way. I didn't want to be in a place where teachers were drunk every day, and you were only allowed to move in slow motion and you couldn't move in other rhythms, where mime was completely segregated from theater. That concerned me very, very, very much. And time is passing. I have this American thing. You've got to open doors. You've got to find it. You've got to get there. If you don't do it by the time you're 25, and then I have the pressure of my family in America too. I have younger brothers and sisters. I'm the oldest of 5 children, and I must deliver, for them. So anyway, I did have a cathartic experience with more of a Polish Russian people, and they were the Laboratory Theater of Jerzy Grotowski. And Grotowski in the 1960s he was really the first one who had gone to different parts of the world and um, um, got techniques from different performance techniques from all over the world. So um, I'm so happy to be talking to you about this. I hope I'm not rambling on too much here on WJZZ. You are watching WJZZ Cool TV, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. If you've just joined us, we are conversing with Lisa Genza, uh, with her Mediterranean background and how it inspired her to turn her back on the corporate world and apply her great talents to a humanistic, spiritual realm, which she's doing. And she's asking me questions right now. And so I was taking you, Lisa, through the first part of my education up to my point of catharsis, which really had to do with Grotowski, who had gone to different places in the world. My teacher was actually Grotowski's teacher. So it was Ludwig Flaschen, his name was, and he was like me, more into the dramaturgy, the words. He was a writer as well as a theater person, and I needed that extra mental element in the theater that was really fit well with me. And a lot of the techniques that we applied were related to Kundalini energy. It was
Mm.
also a lot of training with Pilates, which at the time nobody really knew about in the 1980s, and a lot of voice work. So going from silence and mime to finding your voice suddenly, and with a huge energy of the Kundalini, and cupping that with Shakespeare and Beckett, Dostoevsky, and in a very, 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 very high quality way. So then transform from that laughter and ironic happiness and this kind of pop culture liberation to then more a solemnness, a silence and a solemnness of something like Tarkovsky or Dostoevsky, searching in that sense of truth, searching for truth and meaning, through art, and projecting voice and expression to the sky so that then it would arrive to the public afterwards. Um, and then after that, that led me to say, hey, something's got to change now because there's no concept. I really need a concept. you know, Remember when I was, younger, I used to have ideas. I was an idealistic person, and now I'm not because I shifted. I went somewhere else within myself. I discovered another aspect of myself. And the time came then where I said, okay, Berlin is a place for concepts, philosophy. And I started then reading philosophy and learning what a concept is, and always then applying a concept to the art. And then from there, I went to the Civil War ended in Lebanon. The wall fell in Berlin, all in the same year. Communism ended, and I was there in Berlin and experiencing this type of revolution. And I started traveling between Berlin and Beirut, two divided cities, and yeah, and it unfolded
Wow.
there.
So going back to when you were at Marcel Marceau and did you feel constrained after 2 years? Was that similar to what you'd say maybe the American school system, where we can only go so far with education and then it limits individuality?
Um, in a way, um, I don't know. I just experiencing it from an 18 or 19-year old. I felt that the administration and some of the teachers were very snooty, and I have experienced that snootiness a couple of small other times also, and it's simply you could say it wasn't a fit. It's a very I can't explain it. I think my my vision was that there would be this very dedicated teacher standing very close to me as I was expressing something, and she would be whispering, okay, now do this, okay, put your hands up, yes, yes, very good, more, one, two, three, go. And there just wasn't that. There was just these teachers that were going from school to school teaching their classes, and I didn't have the questions answered that I needed answered. I'd look at the second and third year students in the dance class. I couldn't understand why after 3 years they still had their shoulders up while they were, you know, lifting their arms up. The shoulders should be down. How are you going to be a dancer? And then many questions. Why? I didn't know really because I was coming from America. I didn't know why we're doing these techniques like gymnastics and fencing if we're not learning the rules of fencing. It kind of bothered me. Maybe now it wouldn't because I'm older. I would understand, oh, because then we'll do a scene, you know, where we have two swords and they'll go up and then we'll turn and we'll jump and we'll take the sword and we'll do this. But at the time, learning how to hold a sword and learning how to lunge the way you're supposed to lunge and wearing the outfit you're supposed to wear, but not learning the rules. I experienced it as I couldn't trust it in a way because I didn't know where it was going, and I didn't envision myself doing those kind of scenes. You know, I was more envisioning like show with like in the 1980s, like with laser, like, you know, laser was not there at the time, you know. And I was contemplating a lot, like now we use microphones, we don't, you know, act like go on the balcony and deliver a speech to the citizens, you know. So it was just these kind of artistic concerns um, in that sense, and I had been hearing a lot about, you know, from around me, from the other theater people, and all the names of. I was learning, you know, all the names of the directors and the theater groups and what's going on there. And this Grotowski, oh my God, Grotowski, oh my God. So I went to do that, and also really before leaving America, there was a mime called Stefan Niedźwiadkowski from the Tomaszewski Theater Company in Poland. And I had, when I was like, I remember when I was 17, I went into this underground bookstore and I found this book of this mime, you know, and it was amazing. It was just, he had so many muscles, and he was, expressing in some way, like on the ground, almost like a dancer, but really an actor, and with the makeup, and it was like a Shakespearean play. And that's what I was looking for. Oh my God, this is, amazing. And then it turned out he was invited to be a teacher in the Marcel Marceau School. So he was my teacher when I went there. And then I started doing classes with him also. The thing is, um, they didn't like him at the Marceau School because it's a different technique. And they didn't bring him back.
They didn't embrace the differences.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I think teachers, natural teachers, not someone who's just went to school and told how to be a teacher. I think people who are meant to teach, to bring something new to the world, have to experience both extremes.
Hmm.
I say that was my experience too with corporate America and then small business. I had to experience the two extremes
Hmm.
in order to gain clarity. And that's what I see with you, going from the school of mime to then going to a school where with no sound, and then going to a school where you had to find your voice.
Yeah.
That's in a contrast. That's the word I'm looking for, is contrast. And we learn through contrast.
Hmm.
And I actually think that this is what we're lacking in our current school system,
Hmm.
is where it's all very left brain logical, where we do not have a lot of the arts, the emphasis on the arts, but we're really lacking contrast.
Hmm.
And it's that contrast that allows someone to evolve and find themselves and find their voice.
Hmm. And what
So
about?
then what did you then traveled around Europe and you really put all of your training into use? Was that by accident or was that intentional that you actually started teaching at orphanages and refugee camps?
It was, this came 20 years after, where I was in a place. I was in a place where I saw that children were abandoned. And the way I could link that to the past years of training were that, as I was going through that aesthetic theatrical training afterwards, when I would, for example, finish with it and be on my way home, for example, in the metro or walking, I would see homeless people or people that are suffering. And I just knew that if only they could do what we were doing, they would, they would fix themselves. They wouldn't be um, struggling anymore. They would find the light. I really believed it was related to truth, and that it makes you invincible and that you won't get sick, and all that. You are watching live WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. And call us in today. We'd love to converse with you. If you have any thoughts, if you have um, you know, any comments, leave them in the comments section, or call us, and we'd love to speak with you. We're speaking with Wjzz from Freedom Kitchen.
So, if I can expound on that, Carolyn Mace, who's one of my favorite spiritual teachers, has said depression is betrayal of self. And um, I have often looked at the amount of depression. So I owned a wellness spa after I left corporate America. I owned a wellness spa for 8 years. And the 4,000 people that came through my wellness spa had to fill out a health intake form. And I would say it was 1 in 3 women were on antidepressants or anti anxiety medications. And at that time, I was really studying metaphysics and spirituality, a lot of personal growth, personal development. You know, I've always been into personal development, but kind of went from like the Tony Robbins kind of personal development to like the Carolyn Mace spiritual personal development.
Mhm.
And um, it does make me wonder why we see such high rates of depression and illness. And so when you help people to find their voice, and I think that's why I went down this path of teaching wellness, detoxification, and it ultimately just led to food, because I believe food is a way to nourish ourselves. And so if we look at that depression epidemic and really a number of health epidemics, you know, diabetes, and I won't get into all of that, but diabetes on a metaphysical level is losing the sweetness of life. So if someone feels there's no sweetness of life left,
There's
like this is it, like this, you know, there's nothing more. I've attained it. I have the job title, I have the big cube, I'm an eighth level, I have the car. I mean, we strive and strive and strive, at least here in America. And then we get there and we realize this is it. That it's kind of anticlimactic. Like, I
is
did
that
everything I was told to do. I'm a straight A student. And I attained the double cube, the window cube, the car, and then you realize you're still not satisfied because that isn't satisfying.
no,
And it's different than what you experienced on the streets in Europe, for sure. But I want to draw that correlation because I hear what you're saying, that you could see they didn't have their voice, and that their health or their depression or their current state could potentially be liberated.
yes.
And I see the same in people. I see that through food and nourishment and love. And you see that as well through nourishment of finding themselves and finding their voice.
Yes, the voice is also an extension of the physical body, and it is also the energy body. It's that same energy that's generated that is that that comes out in the voice. Then it's shared between the voice and physicality and the sound, and has a vibration, and it does go in the space, and it can heal. And as a matter of fact, not only, of course, if it's coming out this way first, it's coming from a very deep place within, and we're not talking about diaphragms and feel how the diaphragm goes, open open close. This is something completely different. um, so, um, so as like when I teach this to either the children or adults, it's really when people have traumas and they have no voice, especially children that are abandoned because nobody asked them if they want to be in that institution. Nobody asked them what they want. They had no choice. They had no voice, and it manifests literally as having no voice. They can't speak. And the same would happen to you if there was a very dominating energy upon you. You'd feel that you can't get your speak well. um, and it is a question of knowing that the voice is coming out from different places in the body, and it resonates there, it vibrates, the cartilage vibrates there, and it's almost like giving yourself a massage from the inside. So you can travel just like you can travel, with your feeling. Like you can travel inside, and you can, go to different places in your back. You can travel down your arms inside and relax them. But we can also, the voice can travel. We can bring the voice out of different places within us. And especially if you have an ailment, then you can also take the voice there and sing from there, you know. And what's really cool is that, like, if you were giving a concert and you were doing that, wherever you were going within yourself to bring that high voice out, you're going to have to travel to that place where the voice can come out with such a high tone, and which would be the upper part of the body, for example. And then the public will feel, receive the voice in that very part of themselves that you're bringing it out of. So that's also something probably more ancient about how voice transmission functions, and how maybe in the ancient times people could cure from singing, and maybe how indigenous people are working also with rituals and voice work and and everything. I have, I don't know why I'm mentioning this. Maybe, I don't know if it's true or not really, but I have two birds. And not that I want a bird in the cage, but they were given to me and there they are, you know? And so, like, you know, I see them as doing voice work too. And I empower them when they're doing voice work. And people remark how much they how much they actually, you know, bring their voices out. And when I put them on the balcony, you can hear very clearly how they're listening with their body, just like how we teach the voice work, that your body is an ear. Listen with your body, and they'll hear a sound from another bird, and then suddenly their body will go, you know. So you really understand what's going on between them. It is this transmission of not only energy but all, and also their whole, as animals they're very different from dogs or maybe other animals, because there isn't this like this care and love that of a dog, you know, sitting on your chest. They have it, the love is for all, for the all, for all of them, not just for one. They're always with the all, that sound of all the voices, of all the birds, of all existence, and the sound is going up this way, you know. um it's yeah, I mean, you can go on,
That's amazing.
but at
It,
least it's nice to watch them. And yeah.
yeah, and it's amazing because I don't think people are aware that we pick up energy from each other. And
Right.
so, you know, you're observing it in your birds, and it's probably more obvious. But I use the example when I'm teaching people that if you're in a grocery line and that cashier is having a bad day, you can be 5 people back and you can feel her energy.
Hmm.
If you're someplace where there's an angry person, you can feel their energy like 10 feet away. You can feel their energy.
Hmm.
You can walk into a room and know when someone's been talking about you.
Absolutely.
You know when someone doesn't like you.
Hmm.
And so we have to become aware of how telepathic we all are.
Hmm.
And I heard Sonia Choquette teaches a lot of this, and so does Cheryl Richardson. I remember Sonia Choquette saying in one of her audiobooks, hold a thought in your mind and see how long it takes for someone to bring up that subject, and you'll realize how telepathic.
Hmm.
Think about this, you know, has happened to me. You plan a trip someplace. So the last time I planned a trip to Disney World, you're thinking about Disney World. Suddenly everybody has either been or is going to Disney World.
Hmm.
People are just telling me they were coming into my spa talking about Disney World, Disney World. I even held a thought in my mind, how am I going to find healthy food in Disney World? Because I had changed my diet at that point. And I had a client come in completely unsolicited, and she said, oh, we just got back from Disney World, and you'd be surprised at how accommodating they are for food allergies. Like, our problems are actually solved and answered through each other.
Hmm.
But we really attract what you're saying about the birds. I just want to expound on that, that we all do that. And what people don't realize right now is with the level of fear
Hmm.
and the level of anger, we have this low level anger and fear in our society right now, and people are picking up on that in each other, and then they're resonating
Hmm.
with that instead of elevating that and knowing that when you elevate that, you elevate everybody else.
And I think what you're saying there is also applicable to what I've seen taking place, especially in the past 4 years with the situation in Washington. um, the uh, the dominant journalists are also just giving no other vision, and it's like, and the transmission of the voice and the head involved, and you can't, when they're talking, you can't think anything else, and they're not talking objectively, they're just talking about what they think and what they see and what they want you to know, and that is all there is, and if you say anything there will be a reaction on their face. I find it very, 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 very strange. Yeah, and I think, yeah, I don't know what's going on, and life is short, so I don't know if it's something I'm going to delve into to try to even figure out, but um
Well, interesting that you saw like war-torn countries and never thought you would see that here in the United States. But when we can draw the parallels of the people you saw in your journeys, the refugees, the people who had lost everything, the people who were mute because they'd lost their voice. Um, I believe everything that you're teaching, and I've told you this, pertains to Detroit and the United States now.
mhm,
Um, we've lost our voice. The school system limits individuality. There has to be conformance. Like this whole society has become about, which I never thought the United States would be a country of conformists.
mhm,
And I really challenge people to think like you're so worried about what your neighbor's going to say, you step in line with what the expectation and the programming is. And in that, you've lost your voice. And with that, you're losing your health. We see a crisis of diabetes. And I know most people don't draw this correlation because, yes, there's other contributing factors like too much sugar in our food. But the metaphysical reason for diabetes is losing the sweetness of life. We have to get back to our individuality, and we say words like inclusion and diversity and no one knows what that means anymore.
mhm.
We need to accept other people and other views, not just spout those words but expect them to think like us or fall in line with the current dogma or programming. I think that we're headed at this point for what you saw in those other countries.
Mhm.
And by taking the arts away, we've, slowly but surely put all of our energy into STEM. And I listened to, I think it was Prince EA one time say, uh, your kids can never compete with a computer. So if you're trying to get them to be smarter than a computer, they're not going to go anywhere. What
Mhm.
we really need is our kids to be expounding on the arts because we need new solutions and creativity for the next generation.
Mhm.
New solutions, new creativity. We need them to come into their individuality, not conform and fall in line. And
Um,
so there's a big difference here between right brain and left brain, and then the use of the arts. And that's where I see the work that you have done in these other countries where you've worked in orphanages and refugee camps and helped people to find their voice, to liberate themselves, is exactly what we need here in Detroit and in the United States.
well, now that you say that, a project is underway, and um, and I am doing that, and I would like to soon go into Detroit communities and have groups of people undergo certain artistic processes, and through storytelling platforms that unite uh, abandoned youth, we don't call them that here, foster youth, with with their long lost biological parents, in theater productions where they can meet again and tell their stories. Um, and through that, I have another plane of project, which I'll tell you in a moment. I just want to inform the public if they just arrived. This is WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. And thank you so much for watching WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. We're with Lisa Genza discussing right now the difference of processes between left and right brain, and how our school system is lacking the arts in order for people to be able to become themselves, as you could say. And I'm talking about a project in Detroit that's going to, I've been going through refugee camps and orphanages as part. I do a lot of theater production and aesthetic work in the arts, and a lot of times they originate in these marginalized, I hate the word, communities. And Detroit, I'm going to work together with different um, different visionary people and healers to bring together some formulas and recipes that can be interjected and given to the people. And through that, the whole content of a theatrical production would be born through the storytelling, their stories interwoven into the structure of the theater production, their songs, and then a lot of it would be presented during a summit that I've begun to organize right now. I think it will be for December. I haven't put the final date on it yet. That will bring together um, healers, healing arts, art techniques, and give people a possibility to sit down and see with their own eyes what is out there, so that they can see that there are other roads that they can be on than those clinical roads that are being presented to them in television commercials, at clinical, offices. There are other ways of healing. Art can heal, and then there are other healing techniques, and they're almost inseparable from the artistic theatrical techniques, to tell you the truth. When you've had a trauma, for example, you would be guided to feel in your body, be in the moment, and feel in your body something, and relive it in a certain way as to heal from it. And it's a very similar process to what actors do. And the origin of theater is actually in Greece, and it comes from the notion of catharsis, which is exactly to heal from a trauma of something that's happened to you, and to do
So
that.
that's the meaning of theater. Theater, the root word is catharsis.
Yes, it's not entertainment, it's catharsis. And yeah, so it's a healing arts summit. And maybe if the coronavirus didn't show up, which actually did, and the time of crisis is a huge time of change, and a very important time. I may have been focusing on founding a building with a theater in it, and with programs and a lot of artistic work from different parts of the world. Right now, we're embarking with the online programs, and we'll try to integrate the theater productions with the healing arts, and work together with actors, visual artists, and
Well, I like the idea of online because I think more people can participate.
mhm.
And so you're going to be bringing in different actors and artists from around the world then?
Correct. Yes, there'll be the healing arts, healing arts. These very important techniques that have been founded, methods for healing that are all different, and that all work, or maybe a combination of them would work, that people should really check out, especially those taking pills, those who want to find themselves. You should know that they're out there, and all of these will be interwoven with visual and theater arts in presentation, and it won't be like watching, just a dance performance on screen. It will really be uh, to the public. It will be a transmission that is from the artist to the person or people that are watching. So breaking the fourth wall, that fourth wall that's there in performance, and presenting it without the fourth wall.
Nice. Ariana Huffington from the Huffington Post said, a culture of burnout cannot be a culture of creativity. And what I see when I look around, and this is from, my experience at a spa, my experience at a coffee shop, cafe, commercial kitchen, cooking school, working with a lot of people in the public. Um, I still see that culture of burnout. And I think I knew I needed to step away from corporate America to find myself,
Mhm.
because when you're in that rat race or on that hamster wheel, you keep doing what you're told,
Mhm.
and you just keep going, you keep going, even though in somewhere in the recesses of our mind we're like, is this it?
Mhm.
Aren't I meant to do something else? Isn't there more to life, more than just the annual vacation that the job allows me to take? So I
Mhm.
get to go and lay on a beach for 1 week out of the year, and 1 week out of the year I get to spend, on my Michigan lakes on my boat.
Mhm.
I mean, how many summers pass in Michigan and people only get out on their boat, a handful of times, because they don't get enough time off work. So this summit sounds amazing. If there's a way to bring the arts to people,
Mhm.
especially if people are too busy to travel or go to a theater, if there is a way to bring the arts to people, that's amazing, Biba, because um, I don't think most people are aware of all of the arts. It's been um, skinnied down in our school system.
Mhm.
When I hear you speak about your experiences in Europe and at the different schools and then walking the streets of Beirut, how many people here can say they've done that? If you can bring that experience to people here in Detroit or everywhere through an online summit, that's amazing, because we can all learn from each other. That will be truly inspiring.
Mhm. Yeah, it will be so wonderful to also to apply, like in a community that needs help in Detroit, where we're talking about generational traumas. You have maybe an abandoned youth, but then when you hear the mother's story, it's no wonder, no wonder she's not the perfect mother, you know and beyond it, and they want help. They want you to come there. They're hoping you're coming there to visit them, and they want to have Reiki. They want, of course, they can't pay for it, you know um, but has anyone tried giving them some tools, and making a shift in the situation? I want, with all of these healers, to see how much we can do, and to look at the progress. Lisa, we have 5 minutes left, and what I'd like you to discuss with the public, if you could, I think, or if you have something else, you can do that. But could you walk us through where we're at with the food sovereignty situation in the world?
Yes,
And,
yes, I would love to. Um, um,
and
I
I'd like to
started
be part of the
teaching.
summit also with this.
So I had to reclaim my own health, which was the result of being on that hamster wheel and working so many hours that we ate out, 7 days a week. And I lost a lot of sleep because I was a network operations manager. So we did our network maintenance for General Motors in the middle of the night. So for many years, I didn't sleep at night. So anyone who's working second shift, third shift, or swing shift, um, just know that that is really not sustainable and not the optimal for your health, because as a result of your circadian rhythm being off, it can damage your health. So I had to reclaim my health, which came with dietary changes, lifestyle changes, and I started teaching those. Not because I wanted to, but people were approaching me and asking me and saying, "Oh my God, you look so much better. You look so good. What are you doing?" So that's why I started teaching. And then my classes always ended up in the kitchen. So I guess I just love to feed people, which led me then to start questioning the food. And so I have a list of chemicals that are used in our food